Welcome, I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up! I sell the products I used in this video and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I'll have the free detailed directions for this project on my website. You'll see where to find that at the end of the video. So don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I am using the Stampin' Up! Box, the shipping crate. I used Early Espresso on this box. You can use any color you want. I'm using Crumb Cake for this one. I think it'll be a little easier to see. I'm also using a little bit of window sheets. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the pieces and the scoring as we go. The first thing we want to do is to assemble the box. So that's really easy. The most confusing thing is you have this, which looks like a top of a box, but that gives you your Stampin' Up! Upside down. This is actually the bottom of the box. So we're going to fold those in and tuck it in. And then this closes like a shipping box would. We're going to put the flap in the back, and we're going to tuck the front under. And then the first thing we're going to do is put a 3x4 piece of window sheet in the bottom, just to give it all a little extra support. And for some reason that felt a little big, so I just cut it down a little bit. So it was actually 2 7/8 by 4, just so long as most of the bottom of your box is covered. I have a piece of cardstock 2 1/2 by 9 3/4, scored at 2 7/8 and 6 7/8. So we're going to go ahead and crease that. And we're going to put this in the front to kind of hold that flap down. Next, I'm going to make a section for my tear and tape. So I have two pieces that are 2 1/2 by 4 3/4. I have scored each of them at 3/8 inch from the ends. And I'm going to use tear and tape to hold those together just outside the crease on one of those pieces. And we're going to adhere those together. This will go in the box in the back for the tear and tape, but we want to make this a little bit stronger. So I have a piece of cardstock that is 5 by 3 7/8, scored at 2 1/2, and we're going to just put a piece of window sheet in there to give it a little extra strength. Doesn't really matter which side that the window sheet goes on. But we do want to adhere that inside. So I'm going to tuck that inside and glue that to the inside. And on the outside. I'm going to mark this, and I want to get a straight line all the way across. So I'm going to put this whole box in here. I'm just going to use this for marking. I want to mark it at 3/8 inch. And 7/8 inch. One and 3/8. One and 5/8. 2 1/8, and 2 7/8. And so this is going to be marking where our tall tools go. And our next piece is going to zigzag over that. In the video, I think you'll see that I was struggling with an oopsie. I didn't remake this box, so if you see later in the video that there's this little oopsie here, you'll know that your dimensions are correct. This piece that goes wiggling back and forth, so it goes here, here, follows this crazy path, and should have gone here to here. The correct measurements for this piece are 2.5 by 8 3/4, and you are going to score it at 5/8, 1 3/8, 2, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, 4, 4 1/4, 5, 5 1/2, 6 1/4, 7, 7 3/4. And then you will still fold valley, mountain, mountain, valley, valley, mountain, mountain, valley, valley, mountain, mountain, valley. And it will make your life a lot easier if you go ahead and crease all of these. So this will go here, and I think you can see how the lines are lining up. And you're going to put tear and tape on the outside line and on this line. And then every other section. So we're going to skip this section and get this one. And I'm taking the tear and tape off so I can put one on the other side. Skip the skinny one. Go here. Take the extra adhesive off and do the second one. And then on this outside piece. You are also going to put adhesive on the ends, but don't take off the cover just yet. And strip off all of that. So we're going to put the largest section, the 1-inch section, here for the bone folder. And then we're going to square that off, and the next valley you're going to put at this line. The next valley you're going to put, and as you can see, I'm kind of able to fold this down and it should match up. I had an oopsie here and I totally forgot that I needed to change my directions, because these should all be able to lay flat. Adhesive on these sections, these are the ones that are going to stand up, the tall parts. And so I think you can see what's going on there. And we have another support piece, very much like the other one. This piece should be 3 5/8 by 5. And we're going to put another piece of window sheet in here. And the window sheet piece should also be 3 5/8, and then by 2 3/8. And this one we can close up all the way. And I just want to mark this one so that it's 1 inch, so that that's where this is going. So we want to put this piece with that mark right there. Okay. And this is ready to go in, so we can take the ends off of here. And we can put this into the box. Make sure it's all the way to the very back. Our next row is for our snail adhesive and our multi-purpose liquid glue. Please notice that I always keep mine tipped down so that the glue flows to the place where I want to use it next. This piece is 2.5 by 9.5, and I have scored it at 2, 3, 5, and 6. And it does not match up, and that's as planned. I want to put adhesive here, and this is adhesive of your choice. You can use tear and tape. I'm using the multi-purpose liquid glue. The piece for the multi-purpose liquid glue is similar. It is 2.5 by 6.5. I have scored it at 1.5, 2.5, 4, and 5. And this one does overlap. Always good to use the bone folder. And again, adhesive of your choice. And then this will fit here. So you can actually put your adhesive on both this 1-inch section and that sticking out part. And then I don't know whether you want your snail on the left or on the right. Doesn't really matter. And that will go in here. Next I have a really skinny section up in the front. And I have a little platform that will raise my short tools up. This piece is 2 3/4 by 5.5, scored at 1 inch all the way around. The basic box, if you've made boxes before, this is really easy to do. You've got, I always put it horizontally, slice up to the first fold, and then you're going to cut a very thin wedge here and on the outside, on both sides. Again, adhesive of your choice. You want to use a strong adhesive. I'll use the multi-purpose liquid glue because that gives me a little bit of time, but it does take a few seconds to dry. I think I forgot to wedge that corner. It will be okay. Maybe that gives you the opportunity to see. If you don't wedge it, sometimes it sticks up like it is here. You want to match your score line with that score line. So I will snip that off in just a second. If you snip it beforehand, it's already down out of the way. This will be down on the inside. You won't see this at all. But just so it sits flatter, I think I'll snip it. This is going to be shoved down. It's you kind of have to shove things around and make space here. And then we have a box for the dimensionals, and we're making this the same way as we did the other one, except But the bottom of this box is very skinny. So we're still going to be doing those same cuts, those same wedges. I don't know if I told you the dimensions for this box. This box started out at 5.5 by 7 1/4, and I scored it 2.5 inches all the way around. Now the problem with this is that when you fold it up, these flaps are going to be too long. So you just need to snip them down so they won't be overlapping. Leave yourself, a quarter of an inch, an inch. It just needs to be less than half of that. And so I guess I might as well use the liquid glue again. When you're making a box, you want to put the adhesive fairly close to your crease so that it holds the so it holds that side of the box together tight. This piece gets shoved in here, and you really do have to squish things in there a little bit. And when you get down to that platform at the bottom, you may have to go around that too. So I don't know if you can see this. This isn't shoved all the way up against the side, so I'm going to use my take your pick tool to kind of use a shoehorn to shove that in there. One more piece, and this is the divider for the short tools. It is 1.5 by 6 5/8, and it is scored at 5/8, 1 3/8, 2, 2.5, 3 1/8, 4 3/4, 5 3/8, and 5 7/8. And you will crease it valley, valley, mountain, mountain, valley, valley, mountain. And again, I'll go ahead and crease this. I'm going to go ahead and just put liquid glue on the tall parts and the side. And that gives me a little bit of room to work that in there. And that will be perfect. But I have one more piece that you might want to make. This isn't really part of the box. This piece is 5.5 by 10.5. And I have scored it at 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. And then I turned it and I scored it at 3 inches. So then I'm going to take this piece off. 3 inches, 2.5. This is a 2.5 inch square. And you might want to wedge that a little bit. And then snip up all of these squares, those 2.5 to the score line. Put tear and tape on this tab. Again, you could use the liquid glue. And then you're going to fold this down, and I think I will use liquid glue for this. And then you're going to pinch the sides until they kind of form this triangle piece down here. And you're going to kind of help that triangle piece form. And just keep pinching and folding until that lays flat. And then this is a little personal trash can. When I go to stamp with a group, space is usually at a tight and premium. Sometimes the trash can is on the other side of the table. Sometimes there's not even a trash can at all. So I have my own personal trash can. So here's how everything fits in. Tear and tape goes back here. Now, if your tear and tape is brand new, it will be kind of squishy in there. So this one fits just right now that I've used up some of my tear and tape. This section is for dimensionals, and you will need to cut them down. So I aim for half, and if you cut on the line of every other dimensional, you'll get it pretty straight. I have room for the full size, the minis, the mini black, and the regular black. So you can fit 4 pieces of dimensionals in there. Bone folder goes in the wide one, and you do have a little bit of space there. Take your pick tool. Have room for pencil and a pen there. And your snips. I do recommend that you keep the cover on your snips. If you don't, you might want to put, I don't know, a bottle cap or something that is about 3/4 of an inch. The larger one is for your snail. Smaller one is for your liquid adhesive. I like to keep these mono erasers. One side is sand and one side is rubber. And sometimes if you get a little bit of ink, especially if it's right on the surface, you can actually sand your cardstock down and get rid of most of it. I take a strip of the mini glue dots and roll that up and fold it flat, and this can go in behind the eraser. You know I love my third hand, and sometimes I use tweezers, so there's plenty of room for both of those. This one is for my take your pick brush tip, and this is for the extra tip with the embossing. And that's how I designed it, but there's still room to squeeze in that little trash can. Another thing I squeeze in is 2 pieces of Whisper White, 5 by 3 3/4, and 2 pieces of Very Vanilla, and I put those in there. In the back, it's pretty squishy, but how many times have you made an oopsie on your stamping and you wish you had a scrap and didn't have to ask for extras? Here they are. So that's my toolbox. Here's the web address for this project where you'll find the free detailed directions and links for the products I used. Just click the links and you'll be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up! Click Home near the top of my page and you'll find lots of resources. Under Shop, I have tips for online shopping, frequent shopper rewards, and products I offer to help you stay organized. Share my Evernote notebook for a nominal contribution. It functions as a fully searchable catalog. I offer a cardstock sampler, taggers to help you identify those dies with lots of similar shapes, heavy-duty bags to store 12x12 and 6x6 paper, and a bow maker. Inspiration takes you to all my projects. If you're new to stamping, you might want to look at the basics. You'll find how to cut card bases and layers, what's special about Stampin' Up! Stamps, and some of my favorite tools. Under Organization, you'll find catalog tabs, labels, and case inserts, a practically free stamp pad storage solution, a basic toolkit, color charts by alphabet, color family, and rainbow order, products by color, and RGB codes, and you can take a tour of my craft wall. More organization means more time for crafting. Come stamp with me here in Ventura County, California, or get the best deal of all and join my team of crafters. The team is called SIP Together, and it stands for Stamps, Ink, and Paper Together. The team is made of crafters who want to save money on the products they buy, share with a few friends, or to grow a business like mine. Be sure to subscribe to my website and on YouTube. I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you for joining me. Talk to you soon. Bye.